Hello, good morning, crafty friends. Happy Saturday. I'm Beth Roy, an Independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and welcome to my Stamp and Create with Beth channel. Today is Saturday, January 10th, 2026. So if you pop in, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to give it a few minutes. I want to tell you about this new program that Stampin' Up is doing. So now we have what is called the Product of the Month. So January 6th, a new Product of the Month released, and it is a stamp set. And I really like the fonts. It's just a little bit different. So when you spend $75 in a single order, you can grab this for $5. And there's a little guide in your cart that'll show you how close you are to earning it, and if you've earned it, and you'll click on it and you can select. So this is for January. The December paper pack has not sold out yet, so when you earn the Product of the Month, you can actually choose. So once you hit the $75, if you don't want the stamp set and you wanted the paper pack and it's still available, you can choose that. It is while supplies last, so once it sells out, it's gone. So I did want to tell you about that. Mine's on the way. I ordered a few new products, and I grabbed this because I really love this. So if you have questions about that, feel free to shoot me a message or send me a message, and I will help you out with that. Good morning, Linda. Thanks for joining me. So today I want to show you some products that I am really in love with. And I think I'm going to be using these quite a bit. There's just things that I really like, and I think that when you shop and you buy stamps and products, you should buy what you really love and want to use. So, good morning. If you pop in, say good morning. Good morning, Deb. It's rainy there. I think our weather's going to turn tomorrow. So, we've been in the 60s, and tomorrow night we get snow. So, that's Ohio weather for you, right? Not very fun sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. Let me show you what I'm using today. So we are going to use a greeting from this Exploring Nature. Now this was designed to go with the Exploring Nature scrapbooking stuff. But I love these sayings, and I love the size of them. Sometimes you just want a large greeting to fill up your card, and I think you can use this on both. So the main thing I'm using today is this Gears and Textures, and I'm sorry for the glare. Good morning, Christy. So Gears and Textures is part of our January to April 2026 mini catalog, and it does come with a stamp set and dies. Now I'm going to show you how I've combined mine. All the stamp sets and the new dies will all come in packaging that is exactly the same, which is great for storing your items because I store my dies with my stamp sets. And now that they're the same size, it's going to make it much easier for me to store those and not get hung up every time I'm looking through my stuff. So I've put my stamp set in the front and my dies in the back. Now, the new packaging for the dies also has a picture, where before we just had a name. Now it has a picture that shows you all the dies that are in it. So I have my stamp set tucked down in here in that packaging, and I've added a piece of cardstock. Okay, I cut just to fit the acetate size, so it'll be different for every stamp set I get. And I stamped these. I do have a video that I'm going to post that shows you how I did that. This is my preference. It just comes on the 2 pieces of acetate. And then my dies, I like to take the backing. So this is the backing that they came on. And I just put a magnetic sheet on it. And then it can hold my dies. And I just like this better than trying to peel them off of the double-sided tape. So we're going to be using this main product today. I love the dies and I love the texture stamps. Now, there is one stamp that if you want to use it, you will have to have the dies, and that is this little light bulb. Okay, this is the filament of the light bulb, but then the main component of the light bulb is made up of these 2 dies. So I will show you some cards that I've made. This is how the dies cut, so you can see this is how it stamps. This is colored with a marker, so I just used a marker. You could use a blends, whatever you have, and I cut this out of a piece and then I colored the top. You could cut it out of colored paper, whatever you have, scraps, it doesn't matter. It's going to get layered, only part of it's showing, and you can color it with black, or this is Secret C. So this shows you there's several stamps that work with the dies, and then you have quite a bit of freestanding dies or dies that don't necessarily go with a stamp, and I love those. Those have a lot of great value. So we're going to use this greeting. So let me show you some cards that I've made. This was my first one. I love gears. So I don't know why, but if you like steampunk, or I've just seen them combined in lots of fun ways, I do have lots of more ideas with this set, and you will see many more coming from me, but this is what I had time for this week. Oh, thanks, Linda. I'm glad I've given you a new perspective on this set. So this was, simply said, is a greetings only stamp set that you can find in the online store. And I think it's great. It has a lot of general things. So let's celebrate. This can be a birthday card. It can be whatever. Some of them I haven't finished on the inside. This one I did. I just added some gears. So I can stamp this later on, happy birthday, or it can be a graduation card. It can be whatever you want. Maybe you know someone that's an engineer or works in any industry that would have gears, cars, gosh, so many things, right? If you have ideas, pop those in the comments, because I'm curious what else you think these can go for. I had somebody ask me if any were bike gears. I think you could make them whatever you want to be, right? Anything that has gears or cogs. So I just kind of left the inside blank, but I distressed it because I distressed these on the outside. So that's the first one. This one, I didn't do any distressing. I just kind of made a little element here, an embellishment cluster with a greeting. And this, just a note, is from Beautiful Motifs, which goes with this beautiful gallery suite that's in part of our annual products. But I love this paper. The scenery is gorgeous, and it's just fine with just a greeting, but I wanted to just step it up just a little bit. So I added some gears just to add some elements, and then I stamped on the inside. Now, this is basic beige, so you don't always have to use white on the inside. If you want it toned down, you can use basic beige or very vanilla. And those come in two-tone as well, so there's an even lighter version. Good morning, Vicki. Now, this one I made with a retired set, nuts and bolts, and I love these little robots that were in this set. It was a Valentine set from years ago, and I just added some gears, and I stamped this little heart. I just inked a little bit, and then I fussy cut that, and I stamped some gears from the Gears and Texture. So this works really well with products you already have. I used the branching out dies to create some layers here. This paper is Traditions of Christmas. It's just a red polka dot, kind of a tone on tone. That might be a little pink there. I'm not really sure, but it goes really well, right? I love it. So when you open this card, I've bent my card already. I just did a little stamping on my layer, and I did some hearts that I colored in with blends. So this is colored in with blends. So you can see it can be really fun. Now this one, if you love grunge, or you know somebody else that loves grunge, sometimes we need to think about people we're sending the cards to, not just what we love, but what we know other people may like. And I really inked up these. These gears started off as light cloud cover two-tone paper. I used the Simply Said saying, and here is that light bulb. I love this. This is going to be on a lot of cards in the future. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. So I stamped some texture all over my layer. And I also used a retired product called Garage Gears, and it went with a car set, all geared up. And I just wanted to show you that it mixes and matches. So this was a large gear die that had a whole bunch of things, and this was from that set. And then here are the two new ones, and they work really well together. So if you have that older set, this kind of helps expand that, and it has some other fun elements like the light bulb, the chains, other textures that you can use all these together. So this was a really fun card for me to make. I stamped the inside, and I just think this is really fun. And then here is the card we are going to make today.
I didn't get that.
Oh,
could you?
Sorry, Siri. Okay, so this is the card we're going to make today. And I did stamp some textures on the background, but you can't really see it because I stamped off and I made it really light. So when we make our card today, I'm going to ask you, so get your thinking caps on, if you want to see a little more texture behind these. So I used this saying, it's a great big world out there. And I just love this. So I was kind of thinking, I know it's a little too early to think about graduation season, but my husband just graduated from college. So graduation can happen anytime, right? Yay him. He finally had a chance to finish that, and it's a wonderful thing. So this saying is just fun, I think. So on the inside, now I did not finish this one. We're going to finish our card. You could stamp the saying from, where'd my stamp set go? I want to tell you the right name. Weekend Adventures. There we go. I thought Adventure Starts Here would be cute, right? I don't know if it'll fit portrait. That's something I didn't get a chance to check. I originally thought about making this a landscape card. Yeah, well, yeah, it fits just barely, right? But I love this saying, adventure starts here. I think it's for so much more than just, you know, hiking or outdoorsy things. So we're going to make this card today, and I'm going to show you how I kind of grunged up my gears, and I didn't do it as much on these, and I didn't layer as much, but that's okay. You'll get the idea, and then you can go play with it and have fun. So, and I have stuff everywhere. I feel like I have little pieces of stuff everywhere. Okay, are you guys ready to jump in? So I have some gears that I die cut from two-tone. And I have two of each one because I want to kind of not mirror this, but you get the idea. One goes on the top, one goes on the bottom. So this is Pecan Pie, and I cut two large ones out of the dark side, and I cut two of the smaller ones out of the light side. And then this is Secret C. Again, I cut 2 of these. These are both out of the dark. And then this little thing. Now this, I used it on my own, or on its own. There we go. But this also can layer. So if you want to kind of give your dies some dimension, you can layer some of these pieces. This layers. This also works with the stamp, but I didn't want it stamped, so I just used the die. And then there's this piece. So I use this on its own, but this can also layer here. And then there's a smaller die like this that you could stick in the middle. So you could layer this up. You could also stamp this middle, okay, with, let me get my stamp set out here. I'm going to show you the packaging. So here we have, well, that's the die side, Beth. There we go. So here we have, it looks like a little screw, like, you know, the Phillips and the flathead. You could stamp that in the middle like it's, you know, attached to something. So you could do that. Okay, I've left mine plain, but feel free to change it up however you like. So I have 2 of these pieces, and this is the light side of Secret C. Now, I want to point something out for the two-toned paper. This I bought when it first came out. Okay, so that's the dark side. This is the light side. And I've noticed in some of my scrapbooking kits and things that I've gotten recently that this light side is much darker. So two-toned paper is printed. So when you buy a pack, it is going to have some variations in it. So don't be worried if you feel like it doesn't look exactly the same as maybe another sheet you got in a different pack. If they're printed at different times, they may look slightly different. I'm okay with that because I just love the fact that I have something that coordinates and it has a wide range of colors, so I can mix and match. Good morning, Dad. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so to start off, I have a piece of cloud cover cardstock. It is 4 1/4 inch by 11, and I've scored it at 5 1/2. That's going to be our base. Let me go ahead and crease that with my bone folder. I've been cleaning my room, and I have most of my tools back where they go. So I have a piece that is 2 inches. Okay, so it's 4 1/4 by 2 inches. I wanted to go all the way across. So if you're changing this to be a landscape, you'll want it to be 2 inches high still, but you'll want it to be 5 1/2. Okay, so our card's going to go this direction. And then I have a basic white piece for the inside. It is 5 inches by 3 3/4, and we're going to put that on the inside. And I have a couple of extra gears over here that we are going to distress or stamp up. And we're going to use those on the inside. So I'm just going to grab those. I have a huge pile laying here next to me. So grab out whatever you want. I'm going to grab a little one, even though we haven't used it on the front. And I think one of these. Let's see, what else do I have? Let's do one of these. So we're going to do these extra for the inside. Now, I usually like to blend and stamp and do everything on my glass mat. But I am going to use a scrap piece for today. Let's see what I got here. And we're just going to start stamping with textures all over this. So if you don't like this, if you don't like the textures and the inking and the extra stuff, you could just put these on just like this and it's fine, okay? But I I like to give it a little something extra. Good morning, Joan. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so I'm just kind of laying these on my paper here. I want to stamp all of these up. And let me show you the textures. So here's my stamps. You can see these are already well loved. I used this. It's just lines. And I used this swirly one, this large splatter. There's a big splat. I love that. This reminds me of a coffee spill. So if you have coffee sets, this would work great with it. This too, you know, this is like a coffee, like just circles, and then it has some splatters around it. There's a crosshatch. There's some lines. This reminds me of an arrow. I love this. So you can stamp whatever you want. There's this little texture here. I'm waiting to lose this. Seriously, it is right where I constantly get things off. So I've been keeping my eye on that. But we're going to just jump in. I'll tell you, I mostly did tone on tone, and I did the pecan pie, and it's on even the blue gears. So here's a kind of what I use. Now, this cloud cover ink pad is the one that Stampin' Up! Is not selling because the foam that is inside this pad reacts with that cloud cover ink combination. So I do have my small cloud cover to stamp my greeting, but you know, I have these were in the last chance, and I don't mind when I'm blending that it's a little more gray than blue, so I went ahead and grabbed it for myself. So this is not in the online store, but this gives you an idea of the colors I used. I love this color combo. I think it's great for lots and lots of different occasions and different things, and it's masculine. So if you are looking for something for your guys, this is a great color combo. So Secret Sea, Cloud Cover, Pecan Pie, and Early Espresso. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with the Early Espresso. You don't need very much of it. Okay. So first we're going to start out with the Pecan Pie. And let me grab a block here. And there's no right or wrong to this. So use whichever textures you have. If you get the dies and you don't get the stamp set, then just use whatever textures you have. But I do recommend getting both because I like all the things. So I'm just stamping on this. I'm not worried if it's perfect. Some parts of it's gonna tuck. So just add some texture on there. And you can have some fun with it. Good morning, Maggie. So you can turn it. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. Now, I do have a question for you all. So get ready to answer. On this one, and I don't even know if you can see it on camera, I just barely stamped this stripe pattern, or lines, I should say, on the bottom and the top where this, you know, so it's peeking out from under this. So my question is, I stamped off and then I stamped it, and I just feel like you can barely see it. So my question is, would you like me to stamp that darker? So we would do, you know, without stamping off, we would just stamp the cloud cover. I still want it to be tone on tone. And would you like me to do a few more textures? So we would stamp some textures to go behind our gears. And this is just my first texture, but I do love this. I love kind of just the dimension it gives. It might be hard to see on camera, But in person, it's really cool. So hopefully when I hold it up close, you can see it. So let me know in the comments, do you want to change it up a little bit and see what it's going to look like? My ink pad, I've been using these so much that it needs re-inked. Okay. So that's that pattern. Oh yes, good suggestion, Vicky. Cajun Craze would definitely look a little more rusty. So you can add in that color for sure. And I will be doing some more of these. Like I said, I didn't get quite as much done as I wanted, but I will definitely be using that color. That's a great color choice. So if you don't have the Pecan Pie, you don't want to do tone on tone, feel free to grab out that color. Now I'm going to use this swirly bit. This is a large stamp. I really like these. Again, I'm just kind of going over top. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just adding some texture. So it doesn't have to go over the whole thing. It can just be part of it. Let's see. I'm not sure what I stamped and what I didn't because I keep moving around my page. That's okay. We're just going to keep going. So you can see that the gears just look so different once you start stamping. And you could use any texture. So if you had other stamps that have texture stamps in them, think about what you have that you could use that adds, you know, a little something to this. Okay, that's good enough. Oops, sorry. I'm cleaning my stamps and I'm shaking everything. And I forgot my chamois upstairs. I have been using my chamois to clean these instead. So I'm just kind of making do here. And I like this one. So see this little stamp? It stays on this. So I got to be careful not to lose him. It looks like a little stitch, or it's an X, like an so it's a cool little stamp. I just don't want to lose him out of my pack. Okay, so I'm just adding this splatter in. And we are going to use our blending brushes. And I'm going to show you, we have sponge daubers as well. And they each have their purpose. There we go. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to finish up all my gears and then we will do the card base. So I'm going to leave that as is. Let me see. That goes on the inside. Okay, so just kind of separating. So you can see it's a kind of a mess, but that's okay. I'm going to pick up some of this pecan pie with my blending brush. And I'm just going to blend a few spots. Make it just a little bit darker. You can do that on these too. You could use Cajun Craze at this point as well. Depends on, you know, your colors that you want to use. But that would work well too. Just kind of dulls it down a little bit. And you don't have to be perfect. You can be kind of rough with it, okay? I've got ink all over me already. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this early espresso, and this is where those differences come in. And look, I am so rough with these. These are old, okay? I've had these for many years, but they fit. They're the sponge stoppers and they fit on your finger. But these are a little stiffer sponge, so I got a new one out. And I'm going to use this early espresso. And if you don't like messy stamping, this might not be for you. But I'm just going to go along the edge. Okay, so I'm just distressing that edge a little bit, okay? Just a little bit, and it doesn't have to be all the way around. It can be more on one side, whatever you want it to look like. So you can see there, that little one, I've added all kinds of texture and ink to it. Again, do it as much as you like, or if you don't like it at all, leave it off. This is why I shred mine, because I'm not very gentle. And I will have ink all over me, and it's okay. So how many of you like to distress your pieces a little bit? I go through phases myself. Like sometimes I like to be real messy, and sometimes I just don't. Ooh, Joan, nice suggestion. You could do an embossed layer and then the gears on top. I noticed I didn't stamp as many textures on this one. That's okay. Part of it's going to tuck, so. See my fingers? Ooh, a ship's wheel. Yes, good idea. Yeah, I think there's, when you think about everyday life, there's gears in a lot of things. I just think they're fun. I don't know. And I know you're saying, oh, is it going to show up on the secret C? Yes, it changes it. I know it might be a little difficult to see, but it really does. Okay. Good enough. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to clean my fingers. And then we will get to stamping. Okay, so I keep unscented, sensitive skin baby wipes in my room for this. I can wipe my supplies if I need to, and it doesn't hurt anything. There's no chemicals on it. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's slide these off. Let me pull one of these up here so you can kind of see it really changed the paper. So it doesn't matter if you cut them all out of like I have some cut all out of basic beige. You can add whatever inks you want and textures, and you can use the blending brushes, okay, and really change them up. So I did some on my other card where I used these two colors and then a little bit of brown. So make it fit your project however you want and just have some fun with it. Okay, are you guys ready to stamp that card base? So this is going to be on the inside, okay, and we could stamp even a little bit of texture on there too if we wanted. And these are all going to tuck behind this. So I just kind of put this on my paper and I used a pencil to lightly mark where that fell. And then I took my texture stamp and I stamped a little below the line and up into the card so that when this goes on, it's going to cover that. And, you know, you can do it, let me see, I guess pretty well. You can do it up as high as you want. So if you only want some gears above the top, it doesn't matter where this goes. That is your choice. You can adjust it. So let's stamp some textures on here. Okay, let me see. I think you guys said yes on stamping it a little darker and maybe stamping more. So let me start off with what I used. I used this this line, and it's kind of a, they don't end all in the same spot, so it's kind of, it's fun. It's a fun texture. And I used cloud cover ink. Now on the original I stamped off. I'm just going to stamp, and I'm not going to put anything under this, so hopefully it's not too distracting for you. I just inked this up, and we're just going to stamp it full force. And I tried to get it kind of in a straight line, but you know what? They don't end evenly, so don't worry about it. So this is the ink spot with the cloud cover ink refill, which is how you will have to buy the ink. And I just tap it on. And then I'm going to do some down on the bottom. So we could put some splatters. You could put those arrows. There's some different lines. I just think they're really kind of fun textures. Okay, so that's my first round. So you can always check. So it's going to go like that. I need a few more lines over here. There we go. Okay. So what do you guys think? You want to try some splatters? I was trying not to make it too busy because I tend to make all my cards very busy, and it's a challenge for me not to overdo it. So I still have that splatter stamp out. We have this circle with the splatters. We have these. Yes, we could definitely use the blending brush to add a little bit of color. Thank you for the love. So let's try some splatters and see if we want to add more. And then I have my greeting on my stamp positioner tool because I had to stamp it several times. And I wanted to make sure that I could re-stamp it. Okay, let's see. Like I said, I don't want to make it too busy because see, this is going to tuck in. Okay. And then we have this. And get it under there. This one. That, and then this tucked in last. So you have your gears and things that are going to tuck in there. And so how, you have to think about how busy you want that to be. So this one would tuck, and I just did it the opposite on the bottom. I didn't do a mirror image. I just kind of did it the opposite of the top. So again, you could make it a mirror image, however you want to do it. You can make it not match at all. Just so you kind of get the idea of what it's going to look like. There's my dry fit. I haven't stamped my greeting. So how many of you, Joan suggested a blending brush with the brown. How many of you want to blend a little bit of color on, or would you just like to stamp? We could do maybe this one or this one. And I would stamp off. I would try to keep it lighter because you want this part to be the focal point. So that's something to think about. I'm going to bring in my greeting, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp while you guys are thinking about that. And I'm thinking I need to stamp on my white insert as well. So I already have this ready to go. Just need more space. Let's see if this has ink on it. I don't remember exactly where I stuck it, but that's okay. Nope. Okay. I think it was right here. Let's see if I guessed right. Yep. Okay. I'm going to stand up because I can't really see. How many of you sit and craft or stand and craft? I'm just curious. I almost always stand. My ink spot here is very juicy. I just re-inked it. So that might be why it looks a little splotchy. Because this is a different kind of felt. This is like our ink pads that come in the paper pumpkin or in the kits. And I'm really rough on mine, so. Sorry, I know my camera is shaking around. I apologize for that. Just gonna let that soak in for a minute there. There we go. That's pretty good. It's darker than if you would have just stamped once, so that's fine. Do it however you like to. You could change out the saying too if you don't want that one. Okay, so, oops, getting all hung up here. You can kind of see that's kind of how it's going to go. It'll be spread out a little bit more. Do you think it needs more texture in the background? Let's see if I can hold it up. So if you could add in some brown, some of this pecan pie, or even crumb cake. I would say to stamp off. My gear fell down there. Because I just don't want it to be the focal point. That is why I did tone on tone stamping. So it depends on how you want it to look. Let me hold this one up and see if you can see it. So you can just barely see those lines, but I wanted this to be my focal point. So let me know your thoughts really quick and we'll finish up this card. I'm going to go ahead and stamp some textures over here on my inside piece. And I have that splatter out, so that's what I'm going to use. And I am going to stamp off. So I'm going to stamp off and then stamp onto there. So it's just very light. It's going to look different when you stamp onto white or a lighter color versus when you do tone on tone. So and when you do a color like this and you stamp off, then if you have to write over, maybe your message takes a little more space, you can still see. Okay. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to go ahead and adhere these on. Okay, so what do you guys think? Do you want to try to use the blending brush and add a tiny bit of brown? Do you want to leave it as is? Do you want to stamp more texture? So let me know your thoughts and we'll finish it up. If I can get my glue going here. This isn't going to end well. I can tell. Apparently I left my glue open too long. And I'm just going to layer these. Kinda. Oops. And you just need a little bit. Don't need a lot of glue. Okay, so there's our inside piece. What do you think, guys? I don't see any opinions here. Guys, still with me? And if you're watching the replay on YouTube, I would love to know how you would finish it. I'm going to take my blending brush and I'm just going to go along that edge with whatever's left on my brush. And we'll see how we like it. So it's not going to be really dark. But it is going to change the feel of the card because it kind of, we didn't just distress the gears. Now we have our card bases distressed a little bit. So I'm going to leave it as is. And you guys let me know. So somebody said grunge the greeting strip. So let's see. I'm just going to come along here. So this is my little sponge dauber with early espresso. And I'm going to go along the edge. So you could tear this. You could really rough it up. I'm going to leave it pretty clean. So you guys like doing the edges too. Okay. Okay, so let me show you how I assembled this. Now, I didn't, you know what? I feel like I have to do this. See, this is my problem. When I start doing the edge of something, I feel like all of it has to be done. So when I did all the gears, I was fine with that. But if I do layers, then I feel like I have to do all the layers. Where do you stop? Do you feel the same way? Okay, so that I just did that one a little bit. So this one's going to have a little more grunge to it than the first one. So to adhere this and know where to put my things and be able to tuck them, I just put a little glue in the middle. And then, remember, I put those pencil lines. You can't really see them now. But I'm just going to put this on the front. Push it down in the middle. And if you have ink on your fingers, make sure that you wipe them off before. Because the last thing you want is a big fingerprint on your card. You don't want that. Okay, so here's my top row. And I'm going to put that in just like that. You can put it down as far as you want. You can layer them if you want them all stuck together. That's fine. And then I'm just tucking and adhering it. And a little bit of glue goes a long way. Oops. I'll have to fix that. I laid it down so I have a little sticky spot. Now, the best thing would have been if I had put adhesive strips on the back of these. So you can put the adhesive sheet on the back of your cardstock and then cut it. My thing is, when I was cutting these, I kept flipping it back and forth because I wanted the light and the dark. So some of them are easier to adhere than others. Like this big one, it's fine. Especially if you want dimensionals. It can be a little tricky. So I'm curious, how would you use these pieces? And I'm trying to get them similar. I don't know about you, but I never do anything the same twice, so. I think I put my original card down a little further. That's okay. If you don't want as much as the gear showing, you could cut these in half and use one for the top and one for the bottom. And tuck them a little bit more. Okay. Let me wipe my hands real quick because I have glue on them and I don't want to mess up my card. Okay. Now I have, this is not adhered all the way. So I'm just going to take my glue and go behind there and squeeze a little bit. You can do the whole thing. You can just do the end, okay? So you're just tucking a little bit of glue. I need more hands to hold that down. And you don't want very much. You don't want it to squish out. So see, I think these were a little closer on my original. These are a little more spread out. You can see that texture. So you could use a glue dot right here instead. Oh, Joan, those are great ideas. Yeah, I think I just like this image. It's different. It's something a little different to add to your collection. Oop. A little too much there. I'm going to do this for a second. I always recommend a clean block. I'm not really sure if mine's clean, but I think it'll be okay. Okay. Now we're going to put this on the inside. So again, this could be a card for many occasions. I was kind of thinking graduation. going to put this right on the inside. Mine's not straight. Okay, good enough. I think it's still crooked. See, when you ink the edges, they just show up better. That's okay. It's all right. Whoever gets it, I'm sure will forgive me that it's a little crooked. Okay, what do you guys think? There we go. So here's my original, and then here's this one. It's a little more, has a little more grunge to it, but I really wanted to show you how you could change up the dies, okay, and make them look a little different than just cardstock. So really fun. So there's those two. Let me bring my originals back in. So again, you don't have to ink them up. These two I didn't ink. These I added lots of ink. This one I did a lot of texture and ink, a lot of different colors. So just have fun with it. I hope that I have shown you some inspiration for this set, as well as how useful it can be to add to your collection. So thank you all for joining me today. Everyone have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you soon. Take care.